There's a version of getting rich that almost nobody talks about because it isn't flashy, it isn't fast, and it doesn't look rich from the outside. No supercars, no Rolex thumbnails, no "I made 50K last month" screenshots. It's boring on purpose. But it works. I'm talking about the quiet millionaire. The person making 70K, 90K, maybe 120K in a normal job who just quietly stacks, quietly invests, quietly says no to lifestyle creep, and 12 to 20 years later has 7 figures on paper while everyone around them is still upgrading phones and complaining about prices. That's what we're building today. I'm going to give you a blueprint you can actually run: how they think, how they spend, what they invest in, what they avoid, and how they stay invisible so nobody pulls them off the plan. First thing to understand, quiet millionaires are not obsessed with income. They are obsessed with the gap. Income matters, of course, but what they actually protect is the space between what they make and what they spend. That gap is the engine. If you make 80,000 and spend 78,000, you are not on the blueprint. If you make 60,000 and spend 38,000, you are absolutely on the blueprint. Quiet millionaires know this. Rich-looking people spend first. Rich people save and invest first. So the very first move in the blueprint is pay yourself before you let the world pull money out of you. They set up auto transfers the day after payday. Not the end of the month when nothing is left. The day after. Money leaves the checking account, goes to investment or high-yield savings, and disappears from temptation. If you do only that for the next 10 years, you will be ahead of 80% of people. Second, they run a modest lifestyle and they lock it in. This is the hardest part for normal people because lifestyle creep is sneaky. You get a raise, so you move. You get a bonus, so you get a nicer car. You get a promotion, so you start eating out 4 times a week instead of 2. Quiet millionaires don't do that. They might improve one thing every couple of years, but they keep housing, cars, and food anchored. Housing is the big one. They don't overhouse. They buy or rent something reasonable and stay in it longer than other people would. They don't move every time they can afford a little more. That saves hundreds of dollars every month for years. Cars is the second one. They do not do constant car payments. They buy reliable, they keep it, they maintain it, and they put the money they didn't spend on a car into assets. Food is the third one. They don't eat sad food, but they meal plan. They don't DoorDash every day, and they don't pretend groceries have to cost $1,000 a month for 2 people. The Quiet Millionaire Blueprint is not about being cheap. It's about refusing to let fixed costs eat the future. Third, they invest in boring, diversified stuff they actually understand. No need to impress anyone. Usually it's broad index funds, total market, S&P, P500, maybe a simple 3-fund portfolio, maybe a work retirement plan with a match. The key is low fees, automatic contributions, and a long horizon. They're not jumping from crypto to meme stocks to options because Twitter is excited. They pick a system and they feed it. Every month, every year, through elections, through crashes, through recoveries. That's how you get the hockey stick effect in year 12, 15, 18. Quiet millionaires use the market like a machine, not like a casino. Fourth, they weaponize time. This is huge. Loud money tries to do in 6 months what patient money is happy to do in 6 years. Quiet millionaires know compounding is slow, then fast. So they design their plan around time. They say, if I can invest $1,000 a month for 15 years at 7%, I'm in 7-figure territory. And that's true. $1,200 a month for 15 years is north of $350,000 contributed, but with compounding, you're into the 500s and 600s. And if you add in employer match, bonuses, or a good market decade, you can hit $1 million. Not because you were a genius, because you stayed. When the market dips, they don't flip. They buy, or at least they keep buying the same amount. That's the secret. Quiet millionaires understand that the worst time to quit is when everyone else is panicking. Fifth, they keep their circle small, or at least their money life private. This is why you don't know they're millionaires. They do not tell every friend how much they make, how much they invest, how much they have. They don't post net worth milestones. They don't flex purchases. Not because they're shy, but because they understand social pressure is expensive. If you hang out with people who are always upgrading, you will feel the need to upgrade. If you tell people you have 400k invested, you will get invited into things you don't actually want to spend on. If people think you have money, they'll expect you to be generous in ways that delay your goals. So the blueprint is: be kind, be generous, but be vague. We're saving. We're focusing on investments. We're doing a low-spend year. You do not need to justify your plan to people who aren't on it. Sixth, they use raises and windfalls correctly. This is a very specific move. Every time income goes up, they split it. Half to lifestyle, half to future. If they get a $600 raise, $300 shows up in their actual life, $300 gets added to investing. That way, life keeps getting better, but the gap keeps getting bigger. Do that for 10 years and you go from investing $300 a month to $1,000 a month without ever feeling, I can't live. That's how ordinary income people become millionaires. Not one big year. 10 disciplined years. Seventh, they protect the downside. Quiet millionaires don't blow up. They carry at least a small emergency fund. They keep their insurance in place. They avoid dumb high-interest debt. They don't co-sign for chaos. They don't gamble with rent money. That means their plan doesn't get interrupted every year by a crisis. Wealth is often just not getting knocked backwards. If you have to start over every 18 months, you can't compound. Quiet millionaires don't start over. They glide. Let's talk numbers to make this real. Let's take an average earner. Take-home pay, $4,500 a month. They decide they can live on $3,000. That's rent, food, transport, phone, basic life. That leaves $1,500. Out of that, $1,500, $1,000 goes to investing, $500 to cash, emergency sinking funds. $1,000 a month invested at 7% for 15 years is roughly $315,000 contributed and roughly $300,000 plus in growth, depending on timing, which puts you a little north of $600,000. Add employer match and random extra contributions, and you are very much in shouting distance of $700k to $800k. If, at some point in those 15 years, you get bumped to $5,500 take-home, and you keep living on $3,000 or $3,200, now you're investing $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month for 15 years is 7 figures territory. Again, no miracles. Just a big gap and a long runway. Now, let's do a two-income version, because a lot of quiet millionaires are couples who agreed on money early. Say two people bring home $3,500 each. That's $7,000 a month. They decide, we are going to live like we only make $4,500 or $5,000. That leaves $2,000 to $2,500. They invest $1,500 of it and save the rest for short-term stuff. At $1,500 a month, they can hit $1 million in 17 to 20 years, even with okay returns. And here's the key, they do all that while looking normal. Their car is fine but not new. Their house is fine but not huge. Their vacations are fine but not luxury. People assume they're just middle class. Meanwhile, they own big chunks of the market. Let's contrast that with the loud millionaire fantasy. Loud money puts everything into how it looks today. New car, big house, fancy vacation, luxury brands. They get validation now, but they don't build ownership. Quiet money flips it. Ownership first, validation later if at all. And the funny thing is, by the time the quiet millionaire could flex, they don't want to anymore. They prefer peace. They prefer options. They prefer time. There are a few traps the quiet millionaire avoids that we need to name. Trap 1. Permanent car payments. They either buy used for cash or finance once and keep it for 8 to 10 years. Every time you restart a car loan, you are choosing to fund depreciation instead of funding assets. Trap 2. Housing that's too big too soon. If you have to spend 40 to 50% of take-home on housing, you will struggle to invest enough. Quiet millionaires buy or rent within a range that lets them still invest 15 to 30%. Trap 3. Social spending. Constant weddings, bachelor trips, eating out with people who make more, vacations they can't afford. Quiet millionaires learn to say no without making it a big drama. Can't make it this time. We're doing a low-spend month. We already booked something. You are allowed to protect your future. Another thing they do really well, they separate fun money from growth money. Quiet doesn't mean joyless. They still buy stuff. But they have a ceiling. Maybe 200 a month is pure fun. Maybe 300. They spend it guilt-free because their investing is already done. That's the difference between I can't spend and I already saved, now I can spend. What about real estate? A lot of quiet millionaires own their home or own a rental or house hack. But they don't treat real estate like a lottery. They treat it like a long-term stability play. Buy something reasonable. Lock in a payment. Maybe rent out a room. Let time and principal paydown do their thing. Combined with retirement accounts and brokerage, that's how you see net worths over $1 million without big salaries. Let's do a timeline so this feels doable. Years 1 to 3, you're setting the gap. You cut the obvious waste, you lock housing, you fix the car situation, you set auto-invest, you build your first 1-2 months of emergency fund. You go from 0 invested to 10K to 30K. You do not look rich. Years 4 to 7, your investments start to look real. You are in the 50K to 150K zone. Your contributions are still doing most of the work, but growth is showing up. You get a raise. You don't inflate your life, you increase investing. Years 8 to 12, this is where quiet gets interesting. You cross 200K, 300K, maybe 400K invested depending on income. Now your portfolio can add 15K to 25K in a good year without you doing anything. You are not rich, but you are unshakable. You could take time off. You could help family. You could change jobs. Years 12 to 20, you coast or you keep pushing. You might scale back to 1,000 a month invested because the portfolio is doing so much of the work. At the end of this phase, you wake up and your net worth is 800K, 900K, 1.1 M. And no one saw it coming. So, what do you actually do today if you want to start the Quiet Millionaire Blueprint? Do these 5 things. 1. Write down your take-home pay. 2. Decide on a living number that is at least 20% lower than that. 3. Automate investing for the day after payday, for whatever the gap is. 4. Cap lifestyle upgrades to 50% of future raises. 5. Stop broadcasting your money to people who will pressure you to spend it. That's it. Simple doesn't mean easy, but it is simple. And remember this, loud wealth wants to be seen. Quiet wealth wants to be used. Quiet millionaires are not building this to impress anyone. They are building it so that when their kid needs braces, it's fine. When their parent needs help, it's fine. When they want to take a year off, it's fine. When they want to change careers at 45, it's fine. When everyone else is stressed about rates and rent, they're like, we're good. That is the point. Not the car. Not the watch. The calm. This is compound state. We don't need to look rich. We need to be rich.